What's up, guys? Phoenix here. There is hope on the horizon for playing against Monarchs, because what I have for you today is another Monarch deck list, and this is one of the deck lists that got first place at the Iori CS domestic team tournament that happened in the OCG this past weekend. It was a team tournament, 132 players, 44 total teams, and this is one of the deck lists that got on the first place finishing team. Now, the first place team itself was consisting of one Perform Agent Pals player and then two Monarch decks, and both Monarch decks were almost exactly the same in terms of how they were built, so I'm only going to be covering one of them. There was basically only two cards changed between either of the lists. So, overall, if you want to see their list, the link to the actual information and all the deck lists from that event will be in the description on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization website. But what makes this Monarch deck list more significant in my eyes than the other two that I've profiled is the fact that this one uses an extra deck. This one does not try to buster its way out of, playing a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! With its opponent by locking it out of an extra deck for the entirety of the game. It instead utilizes the accessibility into extra deck cards to further gain advantage, because the Monarch engine by itself is already very solid and really good with the addition of all these new cards, that the Dominion field spell honestly isn't really that needed, and this kind of solidified that point. And it actually is something that's refreshing to me to see, that the Monarch deck lists that did not run Dominion were ending up doing better than the ones that did, still beating out decks like Burning Abyss and things like that, just because the engine itself is so overall powerful in what it does when it's resolving. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you guys with any more rambling. I'm just going to get into this deck list and discuss some things from there going forward. 3, Aether the Heaven Monarch. 3, Erebus the Netherworld Monarch. I would consider 3 and 3 of these to be completely standard at this point going forward, even when we get the stuff in the TCG, because they're both really amazing in terms of what they do, allowing you to set up your the first true Monarch and stuff like that to allow the game to continue moving in your favor. 1, Caius the Megamarch. 1, Zaborg the oh my goodness, I'm tripping all over my tongue. 1 Caius the Mega Monarch, and 1 Zaborg the Mega Monarch. There we go. I can actually enunciate things now. Zaborg utilization with Psyframe Lord Omega and Elder Entity Intus just allows for a lot of different things to happen that can be utilized in your favor, especially since this one card being run essentially can do this one card being run and resolving can essentially do the exact same thing that the Dominion was trying to do, except you're not restricting yourself to not have to run an extra deck. You basically just have to get into Zaborg, and getting into Zaborg and getting into Dominion, it's honestly actually about the same in terms of overall accessibility. Although Zaborg may not be first turn, it may not be immediate, you can still use it as early as turn 2 or turn 1 if you happen to draw into it or got into it through some method. But I digress. 2 copies of Maxi. Triple Karaz the Light Monarch to be special summoned off Aether and get its effect. Triple Idea the Heaven Knight. 2 Eidos the Netherworld Knight. 1 Mithra the Thunder Vassal, and 1 Landrobe the Rock Vassal. If you don't know what Mithra does, during your main phase you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck for the rest of this turn. Also, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, special summon 1 Vassal token, Thunder type, Light, level 1, attack 800, defense 1000, to your opponent's side of the field in defense position. If this card is tributed for a tribute summon, you can activate this effect. You can, during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summoner set, you can tribute an additional monster. You can tribute summon 1 additional monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. You can only use each effect of Mithra the Thunder Vassal once per turn. And Landrobe, the Rock Vassal, is you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. You cannot special summon monster from your extra deck for the rest of the turn. Also special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, change that target to face-down defense position. If this card is tributed for a tribute summon, you can target 1 monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense in your graveyard, except Landrobe the Rock Vassal, add it to your hand. You can only use each effect of Landrobe the Rock Vassal once per turn. So this recycles all of your vassals and starts getting you into things. This also functions as an out to Fog King in the mirror that prevents you from tribute summoning, because you can't tribute cards. So this overall, a nice little card, nice little tech. I don't know how accessible it actually is in the grand scheme of things, because it would be different if it could get its effect if you specialed it off Idea Knight, but you actually only get its effect if you special summon it from hand, if I'm reading this correctly. But overall, it seems like a nice pick. It's just another vassal name, and it's a free special summon. And then the last monster is 1 copy of Effect Veiler. For the spells, triple Tenacity of the Monarchs, triple Pantheism of the Monarchs, triple the Monarch Stormforth, and 1 Return of the Monarchs to search out your Mega Zaborg and keep a constant flow of advantage rolling with these cards. 1 Rhoda, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. For the traps, triple the True First Monarch, 1 Escalation of the Monarchs, double Reinforced Truth, and 1 Solemn Warning. Now, the only main difference between this list and the other one was the other list was running 41 cards, and I think was running an extra escalation, if I remember correctly. It could be wrong. But for the side deck, 1 copy of Vanity's Fiend and 2 copies of Effect Veiler to make it a full playset, 1 Dark Hole, triple MST, double Mirror Force, 2 Breakthrough Skill, 2 Deck Devi, and 2 Royal Decree. A very standard, generic blanket side deck for a lot of different things. And then the extra deck that mainly gets abuse off of Zaborg is 3 copies of Elder Entity Entis. You can send these off Mega Zaborg, pop up to 3 cards on the field depending on how many you sent. Then 2 Cyframe Lord Omegas that starts letting you put things back into your extra deck, put things back into your deck, things like that. And then we have a whole lot of rank 5s, which you may be sitting there wondering how you access rank 5s with this deck, because these are 6s, this is a 6, that's Vanity's Fiend, and then these are 8s. But the way you access rank 5s with this deck is that you get 2 copies of the True First Monarch into circulation. You can summon 1 on your opponent's turn and then summon 1 on your own turn, and then as long as you're tribute summoning monsters using Idea the Heaven Knight, you're going to be adding back those banished spells, and thus you're going to keep a constant flow of using these cards capable of happening, and these come out as level 5s. So every turn that you have 2 of these in the grave, you can summon 1 of them on your opponent's end phase and then summon 1 on your turn. That's a rank 5 that you can get into, and then use your other cards like Idea, Eidos, and all these guys to go into your tribute summons instead of actually tributing these, which is actually just a neat concept. But anyway, the rank 5s were 1 Artifact Durandal, 1 Tyrus the Keeper of Genesis, 1 Constellar Pleiades, 1 Wind-Up Arsenal Zenmaio, 1 number 19 Friezadon, 1 number 61 Volcasaurus, and then a full armored Crystal Zero Lancer and a Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger to put over top of the rank 5s. And Full Armor Crystal Zero is actually just a really good card if you haven't read it beforehand. We've definitely known about its effect for a long time. It's an OCG exclusive. Hopefully it gets imported to us soon, because this card is actually just really, really good for any deck that can make rank 5s to go into Friezadon and put Full Armored Crystal Zero Lancer on top of it. But anyway, the 2 rank 8s that he ran was 1 copy of Felgrand and 1 copy of Heliopolis. Now these are easily accessed by just tribute summoning these and gaining advantage to them, but also you can utilize Aether the Heaven Monarch if you haven't activated any effect that would prevent you from summoning from your extra deck that turn. You can summon this, get the other one out of the deck, get an Eidos, or an Erebus, my bad, and then overlay for either of these and do whatever you want to do with them. But anyway, that's all for this deck. This is actually just a very interesting concept that I really like. If I were going to play a Monarch deck, it would probably be something like this, because it's not nearly as degenerate as Dominion. Now, yes, it is a little bit degenerate in the fact that Zaborg can completely ruin your extra deck if it resolves once, but overall, that's not something that should be consistently happening turn 1, and that's the biggest problem I have with the Monarch decks that run Dominion. Whereas this deck overall is more well-rounded. Yes, it can use Zaborg to completely destroy extra deck-based strategies. That's definitely not something I'm going to dispute here. But it's definitely something that overall the deck list is more sound, not running Dominion, by having access into these cards. And even though this card is a little bit degenerate in how it operates, it generates so much advantage through neat interactions of, Elder Entity, NCSS, and Cyframe Lord Omega. But overall, that's just my 2 cents on this deck list. As always, guys, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. As always, comment, rate, subscribe. Like the video if you like me doing these kinds of videos, the OCG deck lists. I know the last ones I did were pretty well received, but I'd like to keep doing them, but I don't want to do them too much. At the time that this video went up, I'm probably on my way to Dallas at this point, if not already there. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up, so overall, I hope I do well there. Wish me luck on that. Links are in the description to both my Facebook pages if you want to just generally talk to me. Those are going to be your best bets to do so. Clicking that if you have not, I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps me make money, and there's no reason to lie to you guys about that. But as always, I would not take it personally nor be offended if you decide not to do so. Just know that it would help me out greatly if you decide to do so, and it would be greatly appreciated. But that is all for this video. I really like this Monarch deck, and if I ever played a Monarch deck in the future testing the OCG cards on like YGOpro or something, it would probably be a build like this because it definitely has a lot more options going for it. It has a lot more technical decision tree patterns, and I really like that as a player. But as I've already said, that's all for this video, and as always, guys, take care.